Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I want to discuss the experimental anime of Osamu Tezuka. Now, just to give a bit of a background on this, recently I read the Osamu Tezuka story, which was a biography made of Osamu Tezuka's life and career. And as an Osamu Tezuka fan, there's a lot that I was already aware of as I was reading the book, but one of the more kind of interesting aspects to me, one of the aspects that I was least familiar with, was Osamu Tezuka's passion for making experimental animated shorts. And I ended up doing some research on them and making a blog post. And as I reached the final paragraph of the blog post, I was going to say something like, I hope someday that we're going to see these experimental anime shorts released in the West someday. And I knew that there had been a box set made in Japan of them. So I went to go kind of research that, take a look around, and lo and behold, I find out, hang on, these experimental anime shorts have already been released in the West. And I was like, oh my god. And just to show you what I mean, it's this box set, which is titled The Astonishing Work of Osamu Tezuka. And as you can imagine, as soon as I heard that this thing existed, I immediately ordered it. It came from America, so I was prepared to play it in my region-free DVD player. But it turned out that it actually does work on Region 2 players, which is fantastic. It means, for instance, I'll be able to capture footage of this DVD for you guys to be able to take a look at as I discuss these films. Now keep in mind, I haven't actually watched all of these yet. I watched a good few of them, but I haven't actually gotten to the end yet. But let's start off with, what was the intention of Osamu Tezuka? Why did he want to make these experimental anime shorts in the first place? And the reason is that he wanted to push the boundaries of the medium of animation. He adored animation, and it was his dream to be able to set up his own animation studio someday. And he eventually was able to do so, and it was called Mushi Production. And initially, Mushi Production set about working on several things at once. One, of course, was Astro Boy, the 1963 anime series that was a huge hit that ended up doing incredibly well worldwide. It made a lot of money through merchandising, etc., and it helped fund the studio. But, and this is a lesser known fact about Mushi Production at the time, is that Osamu Tezuka also set about creating some short films. The first one being Tales of a Street Corner, which is quite a long short film at about 39 minutes long. Basically, it covers a particular street corner. There's a little girl who loses her teddy bear. There's some rats trying to build a kind of a nest. Posters are kind of having a good time, etc. And as the short continues on, it becomes a little darker, a little grimmer. But it does end on a bit of hope. And it is delivered completely without dialogue, only music and animation. And it's a very effective little short. And that short was shown at a kind of a press event where they decided to show that short, the first Astro Boy episode, as well as another short called Male, which is 3 minutes long. It's about a cat who is kind of commenting on the actions of another male character, and it has quite a dark ending, like a kind of surprising one. Of course, the industry was far more interested in Astro Boy, the potential revenue that could be made off of it, etc. It was far more marketable than these kind of weird little short films. But nonetheless, Osamu Tezuka still wanted to make these short films, and throughout the 60s he would go on to make several more. Beyond that initial press event, these shorts were shown at animation festivals, predominantly Japanese film festivals, although later on some of the later anime shorts that he would do in the 80s ended up being screened at the Zagreb International Animation Festival. And he was always interested in pushing these boundaries of animation. And we have quite a variety of shorts here. We have comedic shorts, we have shorts that are very experimental in terms of animation techniques. In particular, one that I want to bring attention to was the first anime short that he did in the 80s, when he kind of got his second win for making these shorts. It is called Jumping. And the premise of it is that there's no dialogue, there's not really any characters in it. We are looking from the first person perspective, so we're kind of looking out of the main character's eyes, and they're jumping. And as they keep jumping, they're jumping into kind of interesting settings and progressively jumping higher and higher. And the thing that you will notice about this short is that the entire background is animated, which is an absolutely painstaking thing to do. The production of jumping was covered in particular in the Osamu Tezuka story, and it went through how much effort it took on their part to be able to create this short. And it is an absolutely beautiful looking film. Of course, you'll notice that I say that there's kind of a later period of these shorts. You see, many of these shorts were made in the 60s, but then it wouldn't be until the 80s that more experimental shorts would be made. And part of that was due to the bankruptcy at Mushi Production. Mushi Production, as time went on, started to struggle with their financials. And Osamu Tezuka had to put these experimental short films on the back burner. As well as continuing to make TV animation, he also made the anime Rama movies, which he was hoping would both satisfy his experimental urges, as well as be able to bring much needed revenue to Mushi Production. But anime Rama was ultimately a failure when it came to the financials, and Mushi Production ended up closing shop. And it wasn't until the 80s, when Tezuka Productions was doing very well, that Osamu Tezuka decided to go back and make these experimental shorts. Now, it's worth noting a couple of things about this box set in particular. For one, this box set is actually missing one of Osamu Tezuka's experimental shorts that's called Cigarettes and Ashes, which I think is a shame. It wasn't until relatively recently that I learned that it wasn't included in this box set, and I found that a bit disappointing. But as you can imagine, I'm still happy to be able to have gotten all of these other experimental shorts. The other thing that is very important to note, I guess this is released by a company called KimStim. And KimStim is a company that I haven't heard of. Looking them up, it seems that they kind of go for more kind of indie artistic movies, which is a very respectable thing to do. But there is actually a problem with the way that they've altered this disc, and that is with the short Mermaid. Now, Mermaid is a lovely, lovely short in which it covers a boy's imagination with regards to a mermaid. But the society that he lives in abhors imagination and tries to kind of strip it out of him. Now, there isn't that much dialogue in it. There's no speaking dialogue. It's only at these kind of brief intervals. But one of the kind of annoying things about it is that the subtitling is really, really bad in that short. And what I mean by that is that the subtitles themselves are fine, it's their timing. One of these cards will pop up, and it won't be until like a minute later that the subtitles for that card will actually appear, which, as you can imagine, is very, very frustrating. Now, so far, all of these other shorts that I've been watching haven't had that problem, and actually that was a problem that I heard about online, and people drew attention to that one in particular. So I'm hoping that the later shorts don't have that problem. I'm absolutely ecstatic to be able to have these in my collection, to be able to watch them and enjoy them. And I just wanted to let other people know that this thing even exists, because for one, a lot of people don't know about his experimental short films. And for instance, for me, I didn't even know that these were available until I did some research about these shorts and found out that there was actually a release in English. I tried looking up to see if anyone else has covered these on YouTube, and I only came across one video, which I think is a shame. And I think that these shorts, particularly based on the ones that I've watched so far, which have been really, really enjoyable, deserve to be discussed more. So I look forward to me reviewing at least some of these in the future. I don't know how I'm going to review the shorter ones, but maybe I'll figure something out. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on these. Did you know that these things even existed? If you did, have you seen any of them? What are your thoughts on these experimental shorts that Osamu Tezuka did? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? What are some of your favorites and least favorites? Have you ever heard of this company called KimStim, which is the company that distributes this DVD? And of course, if you have anything else to say about Osamu Tezuka, about his experimental short films, about KimStim, etc., please leave it in the comments below. And of course, if you want to support the channel, I would encourage you to use my Amazon and Right Stuff affiliate links in the description below. When you purchase an anime or manga through those affiliate links, not only are you supporting me, not only are you supporting the channel, but you're also supporting the anime and manga industry. So I would highly encourage you to purchase your anime and manga through those affiliate links. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.